guys, welcome to another episode of pregnancy series. Hashtag still remains safe motherhood, a positive outcome of a live mother and a live infant. That's the aim, right? So I hope this will be another good learning episode. Let's get aware of what's happening, what we are supposed to know as far as the pregnancy journey is concerned, right? So today I'm talking in this episode I'm going to talk about parity, gravidity, and its importance as far as the pregnancy journey and the labor and the delivery journey and postpartum period is concerned. So we are going to talk about parity, gravidity, and its importance, and also I'm going to mention something about family planning, history, and pregnancy, right? So I hope you'll enjoy the video. Let's go. I want to talk about parity and gravidity. Let me start with the parity. What does parity means? Maybe some of you who have already given birth, maybe your mothers, you've seen maybe in your files written para some zero, maybe para 1 plus something, or you've seen something like that, or g something. So what parity means is basically the number of times a woman or a lady has given birth to a fetus. In this case, let's say a baby with a gestation age of greater than 24 weeks and above, regardless of the outcome of the pregnancy. Maybe you may miscarry after 24 weeks or 25 weeks. So it is regardless of the outcome of the pregnancy. The duration is greater than 24 weeks. So that's what we call parity, right? What about gravidity? Gravidity is basically the number of times you become pregnant. Maybe you are pregnant only for 1 week, or you are pregnant maybe for two months. So it's the number of how many times have you ever conceived. So that's all about gravidity. So they are very important part of history as far as your labor, as far as your pregnancy journey is concerned. Very, very important. Why? They form the basis of how your pregnancy duration will be managed, right? So let's start with parity. So you may have heard of maybe multiparity, maybe nulliparity. So there are two different terms, but they are very, very important as far as maternal health is concerned. So our main aim is safe motherhood. Hashtag safe motherhood. What does it mean? We aim to attain a positive outcome of a live mother and a live infant, right? So as far as parity is concerned, we have nulliparity. Nulliparity, what basically it means that this is your first pregnancy, the first one. You've never aborted, you've never had any miscarriage. Your first pregnancy, you are a nulliparous. This is the first pregnancy. What about multiparity? Multi basically means many. Maybe your second pregnancy, maybe your fifth pregnancy, maybe your sixth pregnancy. So as far as you are giving birth, you are becoming you are increasing your risk for some complications, right? So when a healthcare provider asks you, for example, how many times have you ever had any miscarriage? Have you ever aborted? Have you this is your pregnancy number or whatever? Just be honest. Just be honest with them. Just tell them that I had a miscarriage. If you had, so to say, I had a miscarriage. Maybe I aborted when I was like. Don't lie. Don't lie. This is the time you have to be honest. Nobody will judge you. The healthcare provider will not judge you because maybe you said you aborted, maybe you had a miscarriage. Just tell him or her the truth, because this will form a major part of how your pregnancy journey will be managed. For example, let's just pick a case scenario. You have had let's say 2 or 3 miscarriages. You may not know the cause, and maybe you are feeling so bad about it because how you it's always very emotional. Maybe there's a lot of changes. Something like miscarriage is not very easy, so maybe you feel so bad about yourself, so you don't want to tell the healthcare provider. that you had a miscarriage then 2 years ago, maybe you've had some miscarriages some time ago, so you feel so bad. No, just open up. Why? Maybe you may not know the cause. Maybe, for example, let's say maybe one of the causes of miscarriage, maybe you have something we call cervical incompetence. So something like cervical incompetence, you may lose your pregnancy due to miscarriage. But you as a person, you may not know. Maybe you may relate it to maybe something, maybe an accident. Maybe you may relate it to maybe some genetics, which you don't know. You have not proven it. So something like cervical incompetence can be managed if you say the truth. If you be honest, just be honest and tell him or her that you had some miscarriage. And investigation may be done. Maybe it can be genetics. Yeah, or it may be something like cervical incompetence. So somebody who had miscarriage due to cervical incompetence can be managed. How? Maybe something like something called McDonald's stitch can be done, and you can carry your pregnancy to term and give birth to a live infant. Right? Our main aim is a positive outcome of a live mother and a live infant. Hashtag safe motherhood. Right? So let's say, for example, you decided to lie that you have never had miscarriage, you've never, something like this is your first pregnancy, and in real sense, you had some miscarriage, maybe due to cervical incompetence. Can you see that could have been solved? Maybe if you are honest enough, right? So just tell the healthcare provider, I had a miscarriage, I had abortion, this and this happened. Nobody will judge you, but that will form the basis of how your pregnancy will be managed from there onwards, right? So something like multiparity, maybe you have given birth to maybe 5 or 6 children. You are at a risk of many other complications during maybe pregnancy or during the delivery duration, or even post delivery. So you are predisposed to some complications. So if you have maybe 6, you given birth to 7 children, maybe 5 are alive, 2 died. So you're just saying, I just have 5 children. Just telling him or her the truth about the number of times maybe you have given birth or had a miscarriage. So something like, let's talk about multiparity. Many births. Maybe you have 4 plus going onwards. You may be predisposed to some complications. One, you may have something called precipitate labor. What does it mean? Labor that lasts less than 3 hours. Can you imagine? Labor that lasts than 3 hours. You can be predisposed to that, maybe because of the many births. So, if you tell the healthcare, if you become honest enough, the healthcare provider will know that this is so and so is predisposed to this and this complication, and that will form a basis of your management. So multiparity may predispose you to precipitate labor that lasts less than 3 hours. You can imagine a normal labor should last at least 18 hours. So guys, imagine labor that lasts 3 hours. So that means basically that your cervix will dilate 5 centimeter per hour. So you can imagine. So again, I insist, just be honest with your healthcare provider. Tell them the truth. Nobody will judge you, right? So multiparity predisposes you to precipitate labor. Second one is something called PPH, postpartum hemorrhage. It predisposes you to PPH. So this is one of the complications that leads to majority of maternal deaths currently in Kenya. So again, by being honest to your healthcare provider, he or she will know that I should give oxytocin to some dosage, right? You will not overdose with oxytocin, which can lead to postpartum hemorrhage or can lead to excessive uterine contraction. So again, multiparity can predispose you to PPH. Apart from PPH, it can also predispose you to something called uterine rupture, right? Or something called cord prolapse, right? So that's why I'm telling you about parity, multiparity. The EST is very, very important. Let's talk about nulliparity. Your first time mothers, it's always very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. It's a very difficult transition period. There's a lot of emotions involved. There's a lot of physical changes involved. So again, for first-time mothers, it's also very difficult. And also, it can predispose you to some complications, right? So that's why your healthcare provider will ask you, "Mommy, is this your first pregnancy? Yes or no? How many miscarriages have you had? Maybe if you had, how many abortions? Something like that. Only to know how your pregnancy management will be, including labor and the delivery, right? So, Parity, you are first-time mothers, you're predisposed to something we call prolonged labor. Your duration of labor can last longer than 18 hours. Be rest assured, not everybody, people differ, right? But majority labor will be greater than, the duration will be greater than 18 hours, right? The expected dilatation of the cervix, for you to give birth, your cervix must be dilated by 10 centimeters. And in nulliparity, first-time mothers, it's expected that cervical dilatation per hour should be 1 centimeter per hour, and it should be dilated 10 centimeter. So again, the duration may be long, so we may have something called prolonged labor. So the healthcare provider will know from the word go that this is a primigravida, what we call primigravida, the first-time mothers. This is a primigravida. The management should take this direction, not this other direction. Do you get it? Right? So maybe we response to prolonged labor or even obstructed labor. Maybe the passage, the pelvic, your pelvis may not be adequate, right? So you may have prolonged labor, which may even complicate further, and you are taking to cesarean section, right? So it's very, very honest. It's very, very good to be honest with your healthcare provider, especially as far as maternal and child health is concerned, right? So take it your task to be honest. Nobody will judge you, but the repercussions of your actions will judge you, right? Yes. So I think that is it. But before I finish, let me mention something on family planning and pregnancy. So there are people who are using different types of family planning, right? Maybe because you don't want to conceive, it's advisable to use family planning. But some of you may conceive when they are using family planning. Some of you, it may complicate. Become with, maybe you are lacking your menses, you are bleeding heavily. That's some of the side effects of family planning. But some, they may conceive during this period. They are using family planning, right? Something like intrauterine contraceptive device, you may conceive. But if you conceive with this UCD, intrauterine contraceptive device, in situ, well, it is intact, you may stand at a very high risk of having something called ectopic pregnancy. You need to know that you stand at a greater risk of getting ectopic pregnancy, right? Or even if you are using the pills, the progesterone only pills, what we call POPs, progestin only pills, you also stand a very high chance of, if you conceive while using them, because something like progestin only pills, you may forget. You may forget to take the pills, and you conceive while still on the medications. So you stand at a high risk of getting ectopic pregnancy. So I hope it was some sort of learning. I hope you learned a lot. But our hashtag still remains #SafeMotherhood. Let's achieve a positive outcome of a live mother and a live infant. That's all happiness. Everybody's happy to see their infant crying, their infant alive. They are alive after giving birth. But giving birth is a matter of life and death. It's not easy. It's a transition period. It involves a lot of emotions, a lot of physical changes. So this is the time to stick together. emotionally, physically. Maybe if you have you are a couple, this is the time to stick together. There may be a lot of emotions involved, there may be a lot of changes. This is not the time to quarrel, the time to a lot of physicality. No, this is time to stand. Maybe if you are a wife, to stand with your wife, both emotionally and physically, because it involves a lot. Our aim still remains safe motherhood. Safe motherhood. So I hope you really enjoyed the video. I still learn from I also learn in the process, but I hope you got something from what I've shared. If you are new in this channel, please remember to subscribe, please like, and please share. I think this is for now. This is our video for today. I hope you learned. I hope it was some good interaction. I hope we'll continue interacting more as time goes. If you want, if you think there's something we need to share about maternal health or child health, you may let me know in the comment section. Thank you for now. See you on to the next video.